Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, talking here about our adventure or lack thereof in Syria. And by the way, I've read a number of analyses from military experts that say, look, there isn't any way to neutralize these chemical weapons without boots on the ground. You've got to send soldiers in there to actually take possession of these weapons. You cannot neutralize these chemical weapons from the air by dropping bombs on these depots. It'll neutralize some of it, but it'll leave probably 15, 20, 30% of the chemical agents still active. And so if you try to take out these chemical depots from the air, then you are going to wind up killing innocent civilians. You'll be nerve gassing innocent Syrian civilians who live near these chemical depots. So the only way that you can actually neutralize, take these weapons out of circulation, out of commission, is you got to send troops in there. That's the one thing President Obama said he is not going to do. He's refusing. I mean, he said, I'm not going to put boots on the ground. This is all going to be done by air. But he's told his team, we're not interested in regime change. We don't want to take Assad out because he knows that the people that would replace them are going to be the Brotherhood, going to be al-Qaeda. But he's willing to go in and help them weakening Assad. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There's no strategy here of any kind to deal with this, because on the one hand he says Assad's a bad guy. Using these chemical weapons is unconscionable. It's beyond the pale. We got to stop that. But I'm not willing to send troops in there, which is the only way that you can actually neutralize those weapons. And I don't even want to take him out. We don't want regime change here. I don't want to take Saddam out of power or Assad out of power. So I don't know what he's going to hit. I suppose he's going to try to degrade some of his military capability. But then all that does is help al-Qaeda and the Brotherhood that want to take over in Syria. And they're more dangerous to us and to Christians than Assad is. So none of it makes any sense whatsoever. We got a caller, David, in Richmond. I've asked David to hold on over the break. And David, I didn't quite understand what your understanding of the theory might be here, that somebody's setting somebody up. Tell us about that.
Okay, I was listening to a little-known guy, local guy. I'm just kidding, Rush Limbaugh. And Rush was talking. He said he was talking to a couple of his, the guy's connections or whatever. And he said, do you think that the Al-Qaeda and the Brotherhood is trying to set Assad up? And they said, nah. Then he said, he went online, and it was an Israeli, I cannot call his name, an Israeli political scientist.
Yeah.
Political, supposed to be, anyway, this Israeli guy said that he thinks that the Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda is setting up the Syrian guy because and the administration, they're going to investigate more, but the administration is behind it because Obama wants Al-Qaeda and the Brotherhood to be in charge, but he just can't come flat out and say it. And Rush says, I'm not saying this. He said, I'm only reading to you what the Israeli political scientist said.
Oh, so their theory is that Obama wants the Brotherhood in charge in Syria?
Yes,
so that's why he wants to bomb Assad, and he's using the chemical weapons thing as just sort of a cover story, but he really wants to weaken Assad so that Al-Qaeda and the Brotherhood can take over in Syria.
Yes, sir.
That's the theory?
Yes, sir. And like Rush said, he said he said he was just reading what this Israeli political scientist or whatever, the guy was saying.
Yeah. Well, and that's a possibility. I don't know. I frankly think that's probably given Obama credit for more cleverness or strategic thinking than is probably the case. I just see him in this situation just being almost entirely clumsy. But I appreciate the call, David, and that's something that's worth thinking about. I'm looking at this piece by Victor Davis Hanson writing about President Obama. It's very clear that the Constitution requires him to get constitutional authorization, had to be forced into doing it. And what Victor Davis Hanson says, there are only 4 explanations for what President Obama is doing here. And he says none of them are exclusive, mutually exclusive. So it could be some or all of these four possibilities. One, he says, is that Obama is just winging it. You know, he had no experience in foreign policy when he came into office, so he's just kind of making it up on the fly, and that's why he got himself painted into a corner on this red line business. So he's just a guy that's inept. He is lost and out of his league. And I frankly, that's the explanation that I prefer. I think this guy's in over his head. I think he has no idea what he's doing. He's blundering around trying to act tough because he thinks he needs to look tough, and then he acts tough and makes the wrong move. It's clumsy. It's left-footed because there's no strategic thinking here. So anyway, that's one possibility. He's just inept. Number two, Hansen says he could be a very adroit demagogue. He's just playing everybody. He's very clever, and he's kind of using this whole thing to work out some crafty master plan. I frankly don't think he's that smart. Option C is that he's well-meaning and sincere, but he's just naive. He's got a very, very steep learning curve, and I don't know. I'm not sure I buy that either, that he means well and he's really trying hard. He's really trying to do the best thing for America. I'm not sure I believe that. And Victor Davis Hanson says the only other possibility, and this, I want to read what he said here because this is pretty pointed. And I frankly think this is a part of it. I think the first thing, he's just completely inept, incompetent, over his head, out of his league. Here is the possibility number two, and I think the two are working together. Obama, according to Victor Davis Hanson, is the first president who genuinely feels U.S. exceptionalism and power were not ethically earned and should be, in an ethical sense, ended. As a candidate, he consistently undermined current U.S. foreign policy at a time of two critical wars. As president, he has systematically forfeited U.S. authority and prestige. There is no inconsistency. Whatever makes the traditional idea of the U.S. as a superpower weaker, Obama promotes. Whatever enhances our profile, he opposes. He is often quite angry at what could be called traditional America, seen often as a downright mean country here and abroad. So Victor Davis Hanson says, look, there's basically three possibilities here. Either he's inept, he is naive, or he is malicious. And it's pretty clear that Victor Davis Hanson tends to lean toward the final possibility that he's just malicious. He has no loyalty for this country. He has no affection for this country. He despises this country as it was founded. He wants to weaken this country. The concept of American exceptionalism aggravates him. It irritates him. He doesn't like it. He wants America cut down to size so it is no longer the lone abiding superpower in the world. Now, you got some other people. Here's London Telegraph, Niall Gardner, and the title of his piece, Barack Obama is proving an embarrassing amateur on the world stage compared to George W. Bush. Now, this, you talk about embarrassing, is mostly embarrassing for Obama. So he's kind of playing to the sophisticates over there in London. London Telegraph, kind of a well-established liberal newspaper over there. And here, one of the leading newspapers in Britain calling him an embarrassing amateur. Here's the last paragraph. Most importantly, George W. Bush was a conviction president on foreign policy matters, driven by a clear sense of national interest. In other words, he said Bush was thinking strategically. He was primarily concerned about American interest, and he had some deep, deep convictions about his role as the president to protect those interests. President Bush emphatically made his case to the American people and to the world, explaining why he believed the use of force was necessary, and dozens of countries decided to follow him. About 40 by the time he was done, the coalition of the willing. In the case of Barack Obama, whose foreign policy has been weak-kneed, confused, and strategically incoherent, the president hasn't effectively made the case for military intervention in Syria and has made no serious effort to cultivate support either at home or abroad. President Bush may not have been greatly loved on the world stage, but he was respected by America's allies and feared by his enemies. In marked contrast, Obama hasn't generated a lot of respect abroad, and he certainly is not feared. So that's Niall Gardner kind of coming down on the ineptitude angle as his explanation: weak-kneed, confused, strategically incoherent. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Robert in Memphis, Tennessee. Robert, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I got a few comments to make. It's my first time calling.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling.
No problem. And like Syria, no, we're not going to go in there. I mean, we're missing the point, Brian. I mean, you got to realize who's back in Syria: Russia, China. Okay. Putin already told Obama, if you attack Syria, just like attacking Russia.
Yeah, because Iran and to back up what Robert's saying, Iran and Russia, they are both propping up Assad. They're helping him actively.
I mean, it'll be a mistake if we do. I mean, I hope we don't. I mean, we'll let Jesus take care of all that, because he will one day.
Now, you're saying, but to get to this, is when you think it'd be a mistake if we do not go into Syria?
Oh, no, I'm saying we shouldn't go.
Oh, yeah, because, okay, I'm with you on that.
Right. No, we shouldn't go. I mean, no.
And it's because you don't see any national interest at stake for us. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I don't have any idea what our reason for going in there would be that has anything to do with American national interests.
Right. And one more on the guy at the bakery. The other guy called in. Now, I'm like him. Okay. Homosexuality is a sin. Everybody know that. But I know, now I mean, I'm not going to call his name, God bless him, was a homosexual. But the brother now is saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost, brother. And like as we witness and show them love, hey, I believe a lot of them will come over.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to realize Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't destroyed because of homosexuality. That's what, I don't know where these people, some of the preachers should preach the truth.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Robert, and I appreciate your call. Thank you. And, some of it depends on how serious a sin you see homosexuality being. I mean, it's a serious sin. Not the only serious sin, don't misunderstand me. But if it's as serious as the Bible says it is, it's the kind of sin that if it's unrepentant of can send you to hell, then you're not loving people by sending a signal that enables that sends any signal that this kind of behavior is okay, because it could cost you for eternity. Focal Point AFR Talk.